Mangane ayari koma Kovayane Sisi Yudira Yogi Lakando Saudina ayari Saudina Pati Saudina ayari Saudina Pati Sisi Pati Sarila Yudira Di Hula Kauna Salosi and Opera, the Vitamari Nazaria, like Lazara, and the Robo. So the other Sura, we will so more so nice. Also, you see here. So, every operator is here to work with Kama, Tauda of the Yabo. Mamaka leader never told of the Yabo. Mamaka Navoli. So to the Yari Homa Yukiro. Now Yukiro. The Gego, Coco, Nanana, Utobe, Panari, Yija, take you together. The little Coco, Yoma, Tia out of the Sipara. Totally Yodalo, Unit, totally Yodalo, Suki Unit, totally Yodalo, Tuda, who is the Yellow. I say you see what some do the Luna, the other. This level, cut the TV, and the killer regulation. See that the article to be suggested to what it is. As a typical Sifuya, the other community was taken at TV. You devote six up to the Sifuya. They are to a figure of
when one comes to faith and acceptance through one's own personal knowledge, developed stage by stage, knowledge of things which are correct. This is faith and acceptance. And the courage to avoid doing what shouldn't be done, the courage to undertake things which should be done, courage which develops, always advances. This is also very important. So with these two factors of faith and courage, courageous effort, to have these two is very good, because later, with just these two factors, sati, samadhi, and panya will come. They won't just stand still. They will come for sure. They will develop. And meditation practice is to develop and bring to fulfillment the ability to govern oneself, to master oneself. But this is not something that we can ask for from a supreme being. And this is not something that one can get through an incorrect method. One has to understand and have faith in things which are related as cause and effect, and have a really keen desire or chanda to learn how to master oneself. This type of person can develop the practice, can develop the controlling faculties. If one just works haphazardly and half-heartedly, that won't be enough. If one has come to see directly how mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, arise and then pass away very quickly in a fleeting manner, then simply continue to practice, because special Dhamma will develop for sure. For this special Dhamma to occur, one needs to practice respectfully and continuously, constantly. With these two, with respect and with continual effort, the special Dhamma will come to be.
Panditabhivamsa, Srimani Namha, Siddhavira, Kiriyara, Buddha, Sangha, Sajji, Malia, Sangha, Sajji, Tuba, Atoku. The Siddhu, Yuma, Lamia, Tuba, Atoku. Siddhu, Panditabhivamsa, Tuba, Atoku. Tuba, Atoku, Siddhu. There are other Buddha Kovara. So then I meet that he took me up. Leland the Java, Buddha Tongue, Susan Senara. There are other significant Tuba Atokida. Korea, Korea, who she do Sukha will have Sayadawgyi near Sayadawgyi near Puna Asawa. The Yambu Moeno, take that swing now. Good that there is a formula. Said, allow it back for our. Sukha Upa Vasra. Konju Pola. Isn't it already? Every Sukha Hara. Who will go probably opposite down with you? Who will go probably? Papa Loga Moha. The new is a thing. So, Nunu Jaga and came on a thing. Nana to see, Nana to see. Came out to see Papa. Matina. Nana, 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 Papa, Utanjara. How would it come? Consume something there. A blue movie, what a movie, Tamata. Consume something there, Utanjara. The other one. Oh, it's okay, maybe one minute. The finish of the introduction of Bama Amu. Savamalo, Sajin Suzina, Yari, the Kuna the Ku, Sino Sister Bobby, Selection, the our corner on the song out of Canada. little Papa, Akusra Drama, say only, what is Santa the other day. The Santa, the Repo, the Kono says, you're the law of local Milan. Kuneta the Yamu is to go. Malabon Golan has shown. The Yamu is whatever good or they must be very songs in the other one. The air of 200. Keeping us out of the population to do a lower. You are down, just to look here now. The great CPR is city on low. You're not to a city. Don't have to sit on the room at the other. Some do sit on the room at the other, for we don't talk as the rest of us. Like whatever you try at time of it. You will be very low, pieces of the low piece of the city. You learn the idea of the system of the world. There are chances of the other. Rather than pretty cool to the media to see what is money. You are not a body. You say that the other living, you not want to see ya. You have to go, you was a pizza living. Pizza living, Jana living, Talia living. These are the only things that you are at the world. You the other way, so that is the only liquid for our the liquid for our time. Take on the action of the career of our power. Career of our lonely family, see Panditabhivamsa, Sayadawgyi, see here, my dear. Let me add to the Kama. Would be outside, see that who said the other second name of Syria. I don't know, Syria. Many of you would be a little bit of the little bit of the Syria. When I saw you, I said that.
Sayadawgyi is when the preceding moment of awareness is followed by another. The preceding and the succeeding ones are successive. And this is because of ardent effort. Sayadawgyi said yesterday, he spoke about effort in 3 stages. The initial effort, and then stepped-up effort to overcome obstacles, then successive effort that goes up progressively until one reaches the goal. One needs to have this effort and to develop it stage by stage. And this is called Sayadawgyi, developed effort. One relies on a good spiritual friend, and then, under their guidance, develops the 3 stages of effort. So when they are developed, this is called Sayadawgyi. So one who, Sayadawgyi, is one who possesses this courageous effort that has been developed. And it is said, Sayadawgyi bhikkhave. Sukhan viharati, dwells happily. The one who possesses this courageous effort that has been developed. such a person dwells happily because starting with laziness, no defilements can enter the mind. The mind is clean and free of fault. This being free of fault is called anavajja. And to the extent that the mind is free of fault, then there's sukha vipaka, a pleasant, happy result. So this person dwells happily because it is said, paviveto akusalehi dhamehi. Because one dwells free of the low and base akusala dhammas. So papa tehi. Papa means lobha, dosa, and moha, greed, hatred, and delusion, both on a refined level, on an obvious level, and on a gross and out of control level. Whatever grade of kilesas they are low and base. Feces is feces, and no matter whether there's only a little bit of it or a lot of it, it smells. And this, what is called papa, these qualities of lobha, dosa, and moha, these are low also, no matter how much there is of them. But this papa is also akusala dhamma. Akusala is the opposite of kusala, the opposite of what is wholesome. So it is low and base. And it is said that the one who has developed the three stages of effort is free of this paviveto. They dwell separately from these. That means that in one noting, there's one moment's worth of being free from unwholesome dhammas. And although one observation, one moment of noting the object does not have much energy, when one clean moment follows another and another, when these moments become continuous, then amazing energy develops. So when one has reduced these unwholesome low dhammas, papa, akusala dhamma, to zero, then one dwells happily. And there is a method to do this, to rid oneself of physical defilements, of transgressions by way of body and speech. There's the method of sila, morality. And to rid oneself of the defilements that arise in the mind, note at every arising, guard the mind always with vigilant mindfulness. One uses the method of practice to guard one's mind with sati. So one who wants knowledge does this. And if one wants to eliminate the very roots of the kilesas, of the defilements, then one works to develop knowledge stage by stage, knowledge of what really is there. There is nama and rupa, mind and matter, and these are related as cause and effect. They arise and then pass away. If one works to develop the practice and comes to see what one has learned from a theoretical standpoint, then it is said that one fulfills one's own benefit. One brings to fulfillment what is beneficial for oneself. So that is what is said in the text. And when one does this, when one develops knowledge stage to stage, to bring about full benefit, then one will have the upper hand over all the kilesas, over the mental defilements, the transgressive defilements, the obsessive ones that arise in the mind, and the dormant ones that are latent. And for those who practice, who develop the practice, this passage that Sayadawgyi just mentioned describes their experience. So to bring about these benefits, no instruments are used. Knowing the correct method, one needs to have faith in it and the desire to gain the results. This needs to be there at the outset. When one practices, one needs to apply ardent effort and accurate aim every second of the time to observe the arising object. And if one does this with respect for the practice and with constant application of the practice, then it will develop as said in the text.
Vipassana jnanaဆိုတာသုံးကျိုးသက်ယုံနာတရားတွေရဲ့ဒီကလေးကိုဒီကလေးပြောက်ဒီနည်းနဲ့ပိုင်းရောက်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော်တော်လေးအခြေအနေကောင်းလာပါဘူးဒီလိုတော့ကုသိုလ်ပြုတ်ပုံပြည့်နေတော့တဲ့အနည်းနဲ့သမနဲ့သမသင်္ညာနဲ့သင်္ညာပေါ့လေအကြောင်းရှိလို့ဆက်ဆက်ပြီးတော့မြဲတာဒါသင်္ကြန်တော့ပြဖြစ်နေတော့တဲ့နည်းနဲ့ဖြစ်နေတော့တဲ့နည်းကတော့ဝိရိယပါပဲမနည်းပြောကြတဲ့ဝိရိယပဲသာတုကျိုးပါအထုခုသခင်တို့ကျိုးပါအထုဒီမှာလုံးရောက်ကျိုးပါအထုခုအစစ်စစ်ကျိုးပါအထုခုတဲ့ဒါဝိရိယပဲအဲဒီဝိရိယသုံးခုပြည့်စုံလို့ရှိရင်ယုံနာသင်္ခါရတရားတို့ရဲ့ဒီလိုလေးနဲ့ကုံဆုံးပြုတ်ပြပုံလေးအလိုလိုကြည့်နေလာတော့ပါပဲဆင်လို့ဖို့မလို့ဒီမှာဝိပဿနာအဓိပ္ပာယ်ကောင်းအောင်နားလည်လာမှာပါပဲဒီလိုယောဂီရဲ့စာဝကဒီတိုင်းမှာရှိတိစုစာဒါပါပဲပေါ်ရဒီတိုင်းမှာရှိဒီစုစောင့်မှုအစဉ်ထားကြတော့ရဲတာဆောက်ရှောက်ပြီးတော့မှတ်နေရမှာမရှိလို့ရှိရင်ဖြစ်ခွင့်ရှိတဲ့ကိလေသာတွေဟာအားဆက်ပြီးတော့ရှိတဲ့အခါကျတော့ကိလေသာတွေသင်ကျေတော့တာပဲဒီညမှုတွေသင်ကျေတော့တာပဲမနာတာရှိရင်ကိလေသာတွေဖြစ်ခွင့်မရနာတာနေလို့ရှိရင်ကြားရမှာနားတဲ့အချိန်မှာကိလေသာတွေဖြစ်ပြီးဒီလိုယောဂီကငါတို့ရဲ့တောင်းကစက္ကန့်နဲ့မလားပေါ်တယ်ကိုယ်နေထားတာဘယ်လိုပဲနေနေဆိုင်နေနေနေစားရနေနေဆရာကိုဆဲပဲနေနေနာမည်ကြောက်နေနေလက်ရှိကြောင့်ဒီလိုကိုယ်နေနေဆက်နေဘယ်လိုနေသားနိုင်နေလဲအားဆက်ပြီးတော့စိတ်သားကအမှတ်နေဖို့ကငါတို့ရဲ့တောင်းပဲဆိုတာပေါ့တောင်းကြည့်ဒီလိုလောက်နိုင်လို့ရှိရင်တော့ဒီယောဂီကတပတ်အတွင်းကိုထူးကြတာတော့ပါတယ်။တတိနှစ်ပတ်ဆိုရင်တော်တော်ထူးသွားပြီ။တတိသုံးပတ်လို့ဆိုရင်တော်တော်ကိုဥပဒနာဉာဏ်လေးသိဆုံးလာနိုင်ပါလေ။အဲ့ဒါဒီအမခံပါတယ်။သို့သောယောဂီတွေဘက်ကတော့ယူတည်လွတ်ဖို့နဲ့သိစက်လွတ်ဖို့ကတော့တောင်းအပြည့်ရှိရမယ်။အဲ့လိုဆိုအမခံတယ်။
Vipassana knowledge, if one reaches the point where one can see how mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, arise and then pass away, then one's situation is very good. There's a method to develop this ability to see how mind and matter arise and pass away. And this is to observe moment by moment without any gap in between. So this method of making our observation constant, the method is Indriya, or these three stages of effort that Sayadawgyi mentioned yesterday. The initial effort to start the practice, the stepped up effort that is needed to overcome the obstacles and difficulties, and then the progressive effort that continues to advance until one reaches the goal. This is Indriya, these three levels. And if these three levels are completed, then one will see how mind and matter arise and then pass away in a very fleeting way, a very fast way. And one will understand the meaning of the word vipassana. The yogi's task is to observe, to note at every arising, always guard the mind with vigilant mindfulness. If one doesn't observe, if one doesn't note, then kilesas have the potential to arise. But with observation, the mind is kept clean. These kilesas don't have the chance to arise. The mind is kept clean when one observes. And when one takes a break, when there are gaps in the observation, then defilements can enter into the mind in those gaps. So the yogi should understand, should think to his or herself, my job is, no matter what situation I'm in, no matter whether sitting, standing, lying down, walking, due to some reason or another, bending or stretching, my job is to apply effort and accurate aim to observe the object. And if a yogi works in this, like this, in 1 week, the Dhamma will become special. What they experience will become special. In 2 weeks, this is sure to happen. And in 3 weeks, one can certainly develop vipassana knowledge to completion. But, so Sayadawgyi guarantees this. However, the yogis have full responsibility to work respectfully and constantly at the practice. And if they do, then Sayadawgyi can guarantee that this will happen.
so well, a few will see to do the Yava. Yana put that Sina Wuria for Sina Wuria. So you are not a Wuria see to not go with a Wuria told the body. Every Poco ha. Every the whole thing will say, which is to do her. Other than a tumor, and I see a tunnel. Could you go see what one now? The dreamers of the body. That is about what I have to do. The beautiful really, could you go see what now and then the children tell the little the children to the so that's how do Taiwan and Mosquito. Blue on the phone of the Poco. And the sister about it. I want to push you to a big way. Don't come with a tree. When I was at Tonse, Mosquito appealed to the Poco house. Don't come with the Sylvia near that. So I was saying, you are never seen her. I've never seen her. So we are both legal of her. Sayadawgyi is to her. Sylvia is the other day. Sylvia is the Baro. Walking on property opposite down. Papa, in a lower of the body. There's a feeling. So there is a lower city. So there is a lower city. So there is a city to move the city. She needed the same like India. So there is a Manila city. Same like India. Same up to the Korea, take a young dog. Take young dog, Papa, people. Consume the country, but consume out to the jet body. That is what you are. There is walking or your tribute. But consume what is your tribute. Kill it out where to come with it. Here's on the other, that's over. Every time you are, you choose to ask him like it. These are the medal, taking you the medal, taking us a full way of you. You see what is the material through the level, social one. The Bravo, Amiasu, Dudaria, could you see what is social media? There are the other things. Kujuko Siva Nada Vida Kujuko Siva Fine on Loco Yusivare Pura Bagavan and Hobo design paper on the Soboni. Do let to Lulu Sudata for looking and Sivo a little Yusivare.
If one doesn't understand one's responsibility well, if one doesn't try to understand it, one should try to. And if one does understand what one's responsibility is in the practice, but when one practices to try to see mind and matter that arise and pass away, if one doesn't make constant effort, if there's no continuity in one's practice, it shows that effort or virya is weak. The initial effort to begin the practice is weak. Or one has started the practice, but no results have come yet, And as a result of that, one gets bored, one gets attacked by sleepiness. And the effort to overcome this is weak. If this effort to overcome the difficulties is weak, then progressive effort that goes up in stages to reach the goal, that won't come. A person who is like this is called kusita. And kusita, it's explained as hinaviryo, that it's one who has reduced effort, one who has dropped their effort. And if a person doesn't make effort in undertaking what is good for themselves, then they'll be criticized by those around them as that person doesn't understand what is good for him or herself, having the opportunity to practice but not undertaking it energetically. Someone will be criticized for one's laziness. And someone who's criticized by those around one like that, a lazy person, one who doesn't make effort in the areas where one should, is not someone who will be able to make friends. So it is said that kusito bekowe dokhan viharati, that a person who doesn't make effort dwells in misery. That means that no matter what their posture is, whether they're walking, lying down, sitting, standing, they dwell in misery, dukkhan viharati. What does it mean to dwell in misery? They said, wokeno papatehi akusalehi tamehi, that the base and low dhammas, the defilements, occur in turns. Greed occurs, and greed occurs increasingly. Anger occurs on a small level or on a large level, and stupidity, confusion occurs, increasingly going out of control. And the mind is low, degraded by these things. And this is what is meant by papa. And the mind is also, these factors are the opposite of what is clean and pure, so they're called akusala. And he said, wokeno, that one is mixed up with these, one is entangled in these unwholesome dhammas, and therefore they dwell in misery, dukkhan viharati. They forget about keeping sila, keeping morality. They forget about developing concentration, samadhi. And developing panya is even farther away. So they lose what is to their benefit. And people of the world are doing this. If one is human, then it's very important to bring one's own prosperity to fulfillment. And being a human, that means to be a true human, to have a humane mentality, and being human, to develop a special type of human knowledge. This is very important.
Kabadi Kabadari Ya Advent Kaunu Sudajata Navali Saukiya Saida Variti Kaunu Sudajata Tavi Nalumi Kore Kujitiya Saida Napuya Sekani Sekani Kaunuစိတ်ထားရနေအောင်ကြောက်ဒါအကျဉ်းရတယ်အကျဉ်းမပါဘူးအကျဉ်းပါတော့မပါတော့နှလုံးကြီးကောင်းမှုရအတွက်ပေါ်တယ်ဆိုတော့ I do without the new Akido. When I hear Sabi about it, I do come here. If you are Maparo, when I hear go, I think you get it. When I listen to some of the Bolo, the Gavalon of a weekend. Put it on the Tunga and Yamaki level. I go achieve this at sea about it. The Gavalon and then of it about it. I do say you to it. So it was I do have a tongue, as to the tongue, as to the Sika. Is that the Madi Kina? Sika. Sika. If you do the Congo, Sao is a beer power. The near Coleman and a Sunday water. To the water was a rope of water to come with that. To the reason about the other way, just to take on the parade. So, later Navatilla, Sipadilla, how to do the layer of Kumuno, what is it? I think that he's already Nada, Yano, Tabutha, Mother, call now with the money to my sister, like the the pin of the love by your man, so we are already with that. Out of the Luna, I got to be a prayer of Alicia. For the seven that do that. The amount of things that we do out of the Luna, they are down to set up all the quality that we could do. So the label, not at all. Luna, see. Atama who to the body, Atama who to the body. So much who so long to the another. Down to the solution. A down to sit on who, down to sit the down to the Luna, the area. Saya, Jory, Matana sounds so good on Babu to the body. Say the solution. Create a for it, transition to what the self other. They won't see much here. That is no yoga, so the lake on our roof. That is no God. You do the other way, the water to the you do the other person, the other one. Very good, I never. We are start to go at the Kayana. The secretary says, no, so when every secretary will go there if you want it. We are sent over the other Kizama. Since they go on the other Kizama, down there to set up on you. But I didn't do that about it. We have understood the other way to this level, cut to the two down there. How long is that? Every time you love is a little. Sarema to the Ubatananya, every Ubatananya. She loves it, every word to say you. So love, you said love. Please don't love. Say Atohoya, say me, Hallelujah. And now, what you say this about it, Hama. The first Sanda, what is the Sanda to the Hama? Hama. So that you are not Hamada. Erodia Dhanava Uvatana Yana, the Purida. ဘာလဲဒီဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်ဆိုတော့ဟောဒီနေ့အဲ့ဒါလေးသိအောင်လို့သာဓုနဲ့လက်တွေ့ပေါင်းစပ်ပြီးတော့သင်ပြပါမယ်
A learned person in America said that most people try to make their IQ, they try to emphasize IQ, their intelligence quotient. And as a result of doing this, although they give priority to intelligence, the standard intelligence quotient, the measure of their hearts and minds is low. Their mind, they don't have a good mental attitude. They have a low EQ, he said. And this is because of giving priority to IQ at the expense of other qualities. From a young age, their scholastic intelligence is emphasized. And so children gain this, but it's not balanced by their emotional intelligence, EQ. And as a result, the morality of youngsters is very low. For example, that all over the world it happens that people have sex when they're young. And even in Myanmar, a country where Buddhism is flourishing, this type of behavior has begun. So EQ, our emotional intelligence quotient, is very important. Sayadawgyi prefers the term SQ. And SQ, S stands for Sekha, or training in Pali. The three trainings are the training of Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, morality, concentration, and wisdom. And so SQ is something we should give priority, making our own these abilities good. Sayadawgyi discussed this use of the term SQ with Dan Goleman, who developed the idea of EQ. Dan Goleman agreed. And he said that if one practices Satipatthana practice, then one's SQ, one's Sekha quotient, becomes very good. So when one keeps at least the 5 precepts, then one's physical and verbal behavior are clean and pure. When our noting, our moments of observation are continuous, when we've overcome laziness, then the yogi becomes very interested in the practice. And when that comes to discern mind and matter, nama and rupa, the yogi feels even more interested. So when one continues to practice from this point of discerning mind and matter, one sees how they are related as cause and effect. And then one understands quite well that in this mind and matter, there's no soul in here. There's no self or a soul. When one understands how things are related as cause and effect, also, one knows that things don't happen without cause. Mind and matter occur due to relevant causes. And then the belief that mind and matter are created by a creator is dispelled. When one reaches this stage, then one's situation is quite good. And it's possible to reach this stage in 1 week with respectful and continual practice. So one has to have an initial foundation of virya. One has to have the initial effort. And then, when one meets up with difficulties, one has to increase one's effort. And then, going forward, one will come to see cause and effect within a few days. From here, when one continues to practice, one will come to see how mind and matter, which are related as cause and effect, arise and pass away quickly. So then one will understand very well. And this is where Vipassana knowledge starts. So when Vipassana knowledge has begun, then to make it increase bit by bit, gradually, to bring it to maturity, to bring it to full development, one has momentum. And when Vipassana knowledge becomes complete, one will experience peace. Sayadawgyi guarantees this. So at this time, we are using the word Vipassana knowledge. What is Vipassana knowledge? Today, Sayadawgyi would like to explain this from the standpoint of theory and practice.
Buddha Neswara, Sayadawgyiရှိနေတဲ့ယုတ်တရားဉာဏ်တရားတွေအဲဒီယုတ်တရားဉာဏ်တရားတွေဟာအကြောင်းနဲ့အကြောင်းနဲ့ဖြစ်တယ်လို့သုံးကျိုးချက်ဖြစ်စီပြီးလို့ဒီလိုပဲဟောတော်ပါတယ်အဲဒီသုံးကျိုးနဲ့ဖြစ်စီပြီးယုတ်ဉာဏ်တရားတွေဟာဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ဖြစ်တဲ့တိုင်ကြီးရမဟုတ်ဘူးသက္ကနာကြီးကြောက်ပဲတော့ပဲကြောက်ပဲဆိုတော့မွေးပြီးတော့သေသွားတယ်ဆိုတော့မကောင်းတာပဲမကောင်းတဲ့သဘောပဲသို့တော့ဒါတွေမဖြစ်ရအောင်လည်းကြားလို့လည်းမရဘူးကိုယ်လုံးရှိကြရတယ်ဖြစ်ဖို့အကြောင်းတိုက်ဆိုင်လို့ဖြစ်ကိုလာတာပဲကိုယ်လုံးရှိရတယ်ရေးပြီးတော့ဒါတွေဖြစ်ပါစေလို့လည်းတောင်းတလို့မရဘူးဘယ်လိုမှလည်းတော့မပြင်းနိုင်ဘူးမမြဲတာတွေမြဲတယ်မကောင်းတာတွေကောင်းအောင်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေဒါကလုံးလို့မရပါဘူးအဲ့ဒါအနတ္တလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်ယုံနဲ့တရားတွေကိုအနိစ္စဒုက္ခအနတ္တလို့သတ်မှတ်တော်ပါတယ်အခုတရားရှိတယ်ဆိုတာခေါ်ထားတဲ့အတိုင်းမသိရအောင်လို့မမြဲဘူးရှင်းဘူးဒီလိုတိုင်းဖြစ်ပုံပေါ့လေရှင်းရဆုံးနဲ့အခြေအနေအစုံနဲ့ပေါ့လေဖြစ်တဲ့ဉာဏ်ကိုဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်လို့ခေါ်ရတယ်ကွာတော့နာတင်းတာမာလာတွေ့တာလည်းပဲဒါကြီးပို့ပို့ပြီးတော့ကြောက်တာလည်းပဲပေါ်လိုက်တော့မကောင်းတာလည်းပဲအဲ့လိုရှင်းရဆုံးနဲ့သိနေတာသဘာဝတရားတွေကိုရှင်းရဆုံးနဲ့သိနေတဲ့ဉာဏ်ကိုဝိပဿနာဉာဏ်လားလို့ခေါ်ရတယ်ကွာအဲ့ဒါအခြေခံသာပြီးတော့နောက်ကြလို့ရှိရင်သဘာဝလက္ခဏာသံဃာလက္ခဏာဒီကတလက္ခဏာနဲ့သံဃာလက္ခဏာတွေအဲ့ဒါတွေစပြီးတော့သာဓုနဲ့လက်ပြီးပေါင်းစပ်ပြီးတော့ပြောရမယ်အဲ့ဒီသဘာဝလက္ခဏာတွေဘာလို့လဲဒီကတလက္ခဏာဆိုတာဘာလဲသံဃာလက္ခဏာဆိုတာဘာလဲဆိုတာပေါ့လေလောကီအာထုကိုသိထားတဲ့အခါနဲ့ပေါင်းစပ်ပြီးတော့သဘောပေါက်နားလည်အောင်ပြောပြပါမယ်ဒီနေ့ကတော့အဲ့ဒါလေးဆက်ပြောလို့တော့မရတော့ပါဘူးအချိန်နဲ့တော့ပါဘူးနောက်နေ့ကြာမှသဘောဝသင်္ကတသာမညသုံးဝလက္ခဏာဆိုတာရေပေါ့လေသဘောဝဆိုတာပါသင်္ကတဆိုတာပါသာမညဆိုတာပါဆိုတာပေါ့လေကိုယ်ကျစိတ်ပါပြီးစိတ်ချပြီးတော့ပြောပါမယ်ဒီနေ့ကတော့လာယူရှိသွားတော့မလို့ဒီနေရာပဲရက်ကြအောင်ဆို
The Buddha said that the mind and matter, nama and rupa, that are in our being, they are not without cause. They are a big stream of cause and effect. And this big stream of mind and matter, which is related as cause and effect, does not stay. It doesn't stay the way it, when it arises, it does not stay that way. They arise and then pass away. They are born and immediately die. Thus, they cannot be called good. They are unsatisfactory. But one can't prevent it. One can't stop it. When the causes are there for something to happen, that result will occur. So one can't say, don't occur, don't happen, if the causes are there. It's a completely impersonal process. There's no self in it. It's not, and thus it is anatta. So it is not permanent, it is not good, and it is not controllable. And thus the Buddha said that this stream of existence is anicca, impermanent, dukkha, not satisfactory, anatta, without an inherent self. The practice is to see how mind and matter are not permanent, to see how they are not satisfactory, to see how they are empty of any self. The knowledge which is able to see these aspects of mind and matter is vipassana knowledge. Stiffness and tension arise and then pass away. They aren't good. They happen on their own. And the knowledge which can see true nature in its various aspects is vipassana knowledge. Tomorrow, Sayadawgyi will begin by speaking about sabhava lakkhana, the natural characteristic, sankata lakkhana, and samanya lakkhana. Sayadawgyi will talk about what these things are, what is the natural characteristic, what is the compound characteristic, what are the common characteristics. And he will describe these in combining what the yogis experience with what is in the text. There isn't enough time to go into this today, so he will speak about it tomorrow. That's all for today.